Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, Sports Take. Hanging out with you on this Friday. Eagles, let's see. We're a little less than 48 hours away from the Eagles and the Commanders being 101 right now in the East.
Are you getting excited?
I am. Especially get under 48, man. You start feeling it a little bit, D-Gun. Yes.
No, because there's too many distractions. You got college football coming up, of course, the big game, USC against Colorado. There's a lot of distractions. I don't get jacked until the day of the game.
I'm jacked. I am jacked.
Oh, really?
Yes. I had to watch. So it was two things last night.
What?
I watched my Temple Owls get smoked by Tulsa, non-competitive game. And then, which we'll get into, and another thing we'll get into later, was the Lions absolutely out of the chute obliterated the Packers. They just took it to them.
Look at my face. What did I tell you last night?
You called it. You called it.
I said, win or lose, my demeanor will not change.
You are good. Yeah, you were right. So we'll talk about it. We'll get into that game in a little bit. All right, let's look at the key matchups here, Derek. Let's start with the Eagles' D-line against the Commanders' offensive line. So the Eagles only have 6 sacks on the season. Washington's allowed 19 on the season, including 9 last week. Here's an interesting stat, though. The Eagles' pressure rate this season is 30.3.
Jeez.
On opposing teams' dropbacks. That's the second best in football. So while they may not be getting home, they are getting heat a lot on opposing quarterbacks. It's only a matter of time.
Oh, my goodness. How officially got sacked 9 times? How many times did he get hit? See, that's the thing. The sacks are one thing, but the hits soften you up. So I want to know how many times he got hit, because if I'm the Eagles, if I'm Sean Desai and Matt Patricia, I'm looking at this going, all we got to do is hit him a few times early on to rattle this kid. That's all we got to do. So, and do you honestly think there's any way, shape, or form Washington's offensive line could stop this D-line?
I don't. I really don't. I think the combination of them not being very good, them being a little bit banged up, and Hal being inexperienced and maybe not processing what he's seeing right away. I think for all of those reasons, this should spell a lot of sacks for the Eagles. It really should.
If Washington started 9 offensive linemen against the Eagles' front 4, the Eagles will still have 5 sacks.
Yes.
Still. If Washington had 9 against 4, it will still be an Eagles glorious day in terms of getting pressure and softening up the quarterback.
Yes.
That's how bad Washington's line is. And Brian Mitchell basically told us that yesterday. Washington has no one to blame but itself. And I understand they had a lot on their plate. The transition, Daniel Snyder to Josh Harris, all that stuff going on. I get that. But still, the people that build the team were still there.
Right.
They should have addressed this better in terms of free agency / the draft, and they didn't.
Well, I mean, I think that you look at the way the Eagles have built their team, and very purposefully, they have built it through the trenches in the interior, the offensive line. If you think about it, look at the picks that they've allotted to those positions. So you went first round with Lane. You went high with Juergens, who was second rounder, right? 2 years ago.
Right.
You found just a treasure in Mailata where you grabbed him, and Kelsey, while you're at it. But nonetheless, that's a homegrown unit there that you have along the offensive line. Then you go to the other side of the ball. Fletcher Cox, first rounder, Milton Williams, third rounder, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, first rounders. They believe in building from the inward out. And I think that's a mistake Washington's made over the years. They haven't really been able to find that quarterback since Cousins left, really. And that's obviously, you don't win in that league unless you have a quarterback, but you also have to be able to protect whoever is playing quarterback. And they haven't done a good job of that. That's for sure. Let me give you this one, Derek, because we talked a lot about it. Chandler Jones was arrested early Thursday morning in Vegas. TMZ has learned. 33-year-old was booked into Clark County Detention Center in Nevada around midnight. He still remains behind bars. Exact details surrounding the arrest are unclear, but TMZ sources tell them that Chandler violated a protective order. So cops responded and arrested him. He has been away from the Raiders facility for a while. They have tried to get him into a mental health hospital. He got out. He left, not got out. He left under his own volition, et cetera, et cetera. Look, we like we said, we have seen this coming. There's no surprise here. It's a bad situation. He needs help. Someone needs to get him help.
Yes.
You know,
need to
even if
protect
he doesn't think he needs
help from himself. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So too bad. I'm not surprised, but I don't. You know, there's no joy in this. This is sad. This is what's going on with this guy. It's unfolding in a real
and what was the reason he was arrested for?
He violated a protective order. I'm guessing either against a spouse or companion or a child. I don't know. That's all it says.
Dude, I just saw a piece of that video yesterday. He's sitting out when it's dusk and he's rambling about y'all think Bleep killed himself. Some I guess a friend of his, and he just
Aaron Hernandez. Hernandez. That's who he was talking about.
Breaks down crying.
Yep.
He's just bawling.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, you do this on a platform like
and
Twitter,
then send it out.
And then send it out?
Or you're doing it live, Twitter live. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you hope to gain by this? And then you trash Josh McDaniels and the organization?
Well, he claimed Josh McDaniels is the one who had him killed. That's what he claims in the rant. I mean, he needs help, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say. He needs help. So, maybe him getting arrested on this might save him from something worse, right? Maybe if there's any kind of positive that comes out of it, maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but it's not. Yeah.
Especially if he could harm someone else other than himself.
Correct. Yep, correct.
I hate to say this, but these situations, when it gets to this point, when people get to their wits' end, emotionally and mentally, they don't just harm themselves; they harm others along the way.
Yeah,
and it's really sad. But we know he won't be playing for the Raiders this year.
I don't foresee him playing anywhere this year, but we'll see. We'll see.
I don't either.
Okay, beyond that.
But going back to what you said about the quarterbacks, and here's the interesting fact. You talk about Washington's inability to find a quarterback. Now look at this. Since Kirk Cousins left there, and he was there 3 seasons, 15-7. Now he was there basically from 2012 to 2017, but 15, 16, 17, he was a primary starter. So after he leaves in 17, here's the list of quarterbacks that started between 18 and 23 for Washington.
Right.
Alex Smith, Josh Johnson, Colt McCoy, Mark Sanchez started 1 game, Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, Colt McCoy again, Alex Smith, Haskins, Kyle Allen. Then you had Taylor Heineke, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who started 1 game, he got hurt, and then Garrett Gilbert. And then you went Heineke, Carson, young kid named Sam Howell started 1 game in 22, and here we are with Sam Howell, 3 games.
Yeah, you know what? It's a mixed bag of bad luck. Like Alex Smith destroying his leg is bad luck.
Yes,
and misses on guys, whether it's trades, whether it's free agents, whether it's draft picks. It's a hard position to get right. I mean, you see, Derek, there's such a high bust level. Like Zach Wilson is no better example. I mean, we have seen it over the years, guys taken really high that just can't play. So, and it can set you back for years and years and years, and you're spinning your wheels, man. It's sad.
You give up a lot of capital to get in a position to draft a future franchise quarterback, and Washington still hasn't gotten it right in all these years. We can say all we want about the other deficiencies they have. If they had a frontline quarterback, hey, you know what? If they had Taylor Heineke, they would still be in a better position they're in right now.
Yeah. And then when they're trying to figure out if this guy can play, if he can't, if I'm them, I don't know. I don't think they're going to finish poorly enough to be real high in these stakes. But it looks like now between Caleb Williams and Drake May and Shedeur Sanders and some of the others that are coming out, you're going to have to figure out a way to get up and get one of these guys if Hal can't play, because you're never going to change this cycle if you're them.
Well, what if Shedeur decides he doesn't come out? Then you're really in a rough place.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you got to try to move up even further.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. What teams right now need quarterbacks next year?
All right, Washington is to be determined. So the teams that need quarterbacks, New England might need one.
Yep.
Okay. One. The Jets are going to have to draft one at some point because Aaron Rodgers is, even if he comes back next year, is what, 41 coming off an Achilles?
Yep.
All right. Tennessee thinks they have one in one of those younger guys. We'll see.
Levis.
Okay. Raiders are going to need a quarterback sooner rather than later. Denver might, as crazy as that sounds.
Oh, geez.
I don't know that Chicago's convinced that they have the guy. If Kirk Cousins walks, Minnesota would need one. Tampa might need a quarterback.
Yes.
Arizona, they claim they're sticking with Kyler Murray, so I'll take them out of the mix.
They don't have a choice. They don't have a choice.
Yeah, they're kind of stuck with them. The Rams, Stafford I wouldn't put him in the really old category, but he's getting there and he's been pretty beat up, although he's having a nice year so far. You're talking about like 7 teams, 8 teams, somewhere around there.
So you really have to try to navigate to get up now.
Yeah.
To get one of the two so-called can't miss quarterbacks coming out next year.
Right.
You may have to give up more than you really want to if you're trying to rebuild that team. I understand that you start with a quarterback, but you're giving up a lot of capital depending on where you are in the draft. If they were like 13th or 14th and they're trying to move up to 2, 3, or 4, depending on what teams are up that high, what they need and what they don't need. Let's say if Houston's up there again, top 3 picks, they're not drafting a quarterback.
100% not. No.
Same thing with Indy. If Indy's back up there, they're not drafting a quarterback.
No, none of them. Same with Carolina. None of them.
That helps your cause.
Right.
But it hurts you because if you have to go through Indy or Houston to get your quarterback, you're helping Houston and Indy build their team because you got to give up a lot of capital to get up that high.
Right. And that's where you're in a nice position if you're those teams. All right, let's talk. Let's go.
We need a linebacker. We need a cornerback. We need a new tackle.
Offensive line. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
So the fact that Daniel Snyder allowed this to happen for this many years, well, it's par for the course. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Exactly.
But it's amazing. I look at a team like Cleveland. Cleveland since 1999 has gone through over 30 different guys who started a quarterback for them.
Oof.
30 different guys who've started a quarterback. And that's a big reason why that franchise has been so dormant for so many long.
And you know what it is too, Derek? It's part of the reason why you're so desperate that you give $240 million guaranteed to a guy who has had all kinds of red flags and hadn't played football in a while. It makes you do very desperate things.
At least though, Deshaun Watson was a proven commodity. I mean, he was phenomenal when he was in Houston, and that's what they banked on.
Right.
That his body was a year removed from taking the pounding of the everyday rigors of the NFL. Maybe we can recapture some of that Deshaun Watson of old once he gets through the legal ramifications of what he was going through. So they banked on that. But if you're giving up that much capital to get a quarterback coming out of college, and you know what? The numbers show there's no such thing as a guaranteed quarterback. You can say that about any position, but the quarterback in particular, when you look at the first round busts that have come down the pike in the last 10 years, it's scary how you go about doing this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's jump to the other side then. Eagles O-line against Washington's D-line. Here's the area that I don't think I want to just caution people not to sleep on Washington's D-line. They're good. I mean, 10 sacks through 3 games is a really solid number. I mean, you talk about more than 3 sacks per game. They're built kind of like the Eagles in that they're very good inside.
Yep.
And they have, Montez Sweat and some of the other guys on the outside. Bryce Young is really starting to figure it out, I think. This is an interesting area. The Eagles' offensive line, obviously, it's really, really good, but they're going to have their hands full with this D-line. This D-line's good.
Well, the D-line gave them problems twice last year. Go back to this past Sunday's game against Buffalo. They didn't get – they have 10 sacks basically they accumulated in 2 games. They didn't get to Josh Allen once
Right.
in last Sunday's game. So whatever blocking scheme that Buffalo came up with, and the Eagles' offensive line is being better. I can't wait to see the Eagles' offensive line tap into what some things Buffalo did to stop that pressure from coming from that wash. The easiest way, run the ball down their throat. Run it. Run it, run it, run it. Open the holes and run it.
I'm very curious how the Eagles go about this thing early. Meaning, like
scripted plays.
Well, do Brian Johnson and Nick look at it and say, we're going to keep running this until somebody stops it? We are just going to keep going until it gets stopped. Or do they look at it and say, let's try and throw them off here a little bit. Let's do some play action. Let's see if we can attack them in the air. I personally, I would rather they just keep going until it's stopped with the running attack. And I don't care how good Allen and Payne are, and they're really good. I have total respect for them, but I had total respect for Vita Vea and that crew, and the Eagles gouged them. So I want to see them keep running it personally.
No, I'm with you 100%. We are here to tell you that you can't stop our run, even with your 4-man front, and your offense is not getting on the field. Demoralize that team as quick as possible. By late in the second quarter, I want to see Washington defenders with their hands on their knee pads sucking air because they're so tired, and then you still have a half of football to play, And I think the Eagles can do that. I would be shocked if Washington's able to stonewall that Eagles running attack. I really would. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any way, shape, or form they can, to be honest. Because
I don't think so either.
Just too dominant.
Yeah, I'm with you. So that's what I would hope we would see. But there's definitely a challenge. This is definitely going to be, Eagles have their work cut out because I think it's probably the strength of this Washington team, period. Yeah. I like Washington's D-line and I like the receiving crew, which it's been pretty quiet, so far for McLaurin and Jahad Dotson and Samuel. They haven't done a lot, and that's reflective of the fact that they have a first-year starter. He's a second-year quarterback. Yeah. So, I mean, just to reiterate those numbers real quick. Samuel, 10 catches, 127 yards, which is about 12.7. McLaurin, 13 for 126. That's 9.7. Only one touchdown. Yes. Dotson real quiet there. 10 for 83 so far.
Those are pedestrian numbers, no question about that. And that's where receivers get extremely frustrated. They want to compete. They want the ball in their hands. They want to compete. They want to win battles. But because you have a quarterback that second guesses himself holding the ball too long, it gets frustrating. And what happens as you get further in the game? They're so frustrated, it takes away a certain edge. They're not running their routes as sharp. They're maybe not getting off the line of scrimmage as quick, which continues to be a part of that downfall of what's going to happen to this team and what we expect to happen to this Washington team. If you can take them out of the game mentally, that's half the battle right there.
Oh, big time. Big time. Yeah. And I think you want to see the frustration start to mount. And because here's the other thing, like if they're coming off a game where they got trounced, right? If you jump on them early, all they're thinking about too, Derek, is, oh my God, here we go again.
Yep.
Right. If you jump on them early, if they're able to just sort of wipe the slate clean, drive down the field, score, or get to you or turn you over, then that game's a memory. That's gone. You know what I mean? Like jumping on them early in this thing and you get your crowd going nuts, then they could just cave.
And on top of that, it's going to be like a 50-50 crowd. Every time I cover the game down there, it's at least a 50-50 crowd. You see a sea of green. And
no, game's home. Game's home.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're not going to see nearly as many Washington fans here as you will see Eagles fans down there.
Right.
And how does Sam Howell handle this crowd noise? Now obviously he's played road games before because he started out in 2-0. But how is he going to handle this particular crowd noise?
That's a good point. He didn't handle last week all that well in a place that gets loud.
No.
Right?
No.
Yeah. So be interesting. I think it's I think that's going to be the thing. Jump them early. The thing you want to watch is what Washington's going to try and do. They're going to try to run it with Brian Robinson, who's a nice running back.
Yes,
simply because last year worked so well for them with that time of possession in the second game.
Absolutely.
Keep away game.
That's the only chance they have to keep it a low scoring game and to keep it away from the Eagles offense. That is the only chance they have. And I don't think they can do it. I don't think their offensive line can move the Eagles defensive line off the ball. And I don't think they can run with any efficiency. 2 yards in a cloud of dust is not going to do it for this Washington team. You have to be able to average at least 4 or 5 yards a carry against this Eagles defense to have a fighting chance. And you have to get 7s. You can't get 3s because this Eagles offense can walk right down the field and score on you, when they want to, basically.
I think, too, this is where we're really going to see the difference between last year's run defense and this one. I mean, if there's any more shining example, like if the Eagles are able to stuff the run and Washington can't do what they did last year, it's going to tell you the difference of Hargrave and Davis compared to, of Carter and Davis compared to Hargrave and, other guys that were in there last year.
Yes.
Because Hargrave, as skilled as he was not a good run defender and not real interested in defending the run.
Heck no. And he made that very clear.
Yeah.
He was one-dimensional. When it was time to pin back your ears and get after the quarterback, he was all world.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to defending the run, he was like a matador with the red cape. Ole, just let him go. But now you have young, hungry dudes that take pride in demoralizing offensive lines, shooting gaps, creating opportunities for their teammates. It's going to be a nightmare. I think it's going to be a nightmare. And again, it's a division game, and we can sit here all day and talk about we think it's going to be a lopsided game. And because it's the division game, certain things could happen. But when you look at just the talent for talent individually, collectively across the board, it's a mismatch.
Yeah, it is.
It's a straight up mismatch.
Yep. There's a reason the Eagles are 9-point favorites. I give you a quote from Slay on Jalen Carter. You ready?
Yeah.
That is a grown man. This bleep is crazy. But it's not just like this is everybody around the league is talking about this guy like this.
Oh, my goodness. And rightfully so. Yeah. He's put people on notice already, and he's only got 3 games under his pro career.
Yeah.
He's already putting people on notice. Mm-hmm. And now you got coordinators devising schemes to stop this one man.
Yeah.
And you can't stop him. Now, at least not yet. You can't stop him.
Yep.
Now, will he hit that freshman wall? They always talk about rookies, because they only play 12, 13 games compared to 16, 17. All the rookies hit that proverbial wall. I don't think that's going to happen with him. I think he's a nonstop motor of energy. I don't think he'll hit that wall, to be honest.
This is where having depth at that position helps. If he was playing every down, you may think, all right, we talked about his snaps and all that kind of stuff. That's where you start to wonder. I'll pull up his snap numbers that I had from yesterday, but that's where you would start to wonder about a rookie wall, right? I mean, more than anything else. But I think he's going to be fine as far as that goes. All right, let's see. Okay, Carter. He's 33rd among all D tackles in terms of snaps. He's only played 89 snaps.
Jeez.
So that ranks 33rd. But he's first in quarterback carries for D tackles.
Jeez.
With 12. And he had 4 pressures, a half sack, 2 quarterback hits, and a forced fumble against the Bucs last week. Fletcher Cox is second among D tackles and QB hits. So, yeah, the D-line is more than getting it done. Hey, let me give you one more thing, Derek. This is just an aside. The Sixer related.
Uh-oh.
This actually could be good. Okay. Shams Charania, the Athletic, who was, he and Woj are the two, top insiders, whatever. Yep. He was on Pat McAfee's show, and he said, quote, "There's a good chance Drew Holiday moves before media day on Monday," meaning that's over the next 3 days, right?
Yes.
Or 2 days, whatever. The Clippers have interest. The Sixers are going to go hard at him. So that would mean James Harden would be part of any transaction. So now it comes down to, can you get a third team to take him off your hands, him being Harden off your hands and swing a deal? And how much, will the Clippers have to give up as well? So this is a way, Derek, if you could make this deal and get Drew Holiday back here and rid yourself of Harden.
Yep.
It's a way to bring the fan base who are angry and in some cases angry, in some cases are just like, whatever. I can't even get involved in this anymore, to get them back. It's a quick fix to get your fan base re-engaged who are either checked out or pissed off.
I couldn't agree more. I was surprised that the Sixers gave up on Drew Holiday as quickly as they did the first time he was here. But look at what he's become since then. A perennial all-star. He's won a couple Defensive Player of the Year awards, at least one.
Multi-all-star guy.
Multi-all-star, and he's helped the team win an NBA title. They hadn't won one since 1971. I think this fan base would jump back on board, even with the frustration of this team, if you got him in here, because of his ability to put it up from three, penetrate, create off the dribble. He's tenacious on the board. He's tenacious on defense. I think the fan base would actually forgive the 76ers for their past transgressions, meaning this summer. And on top of that, they get rid of James Harden also.
Well, that's that. Yeah, it's like a win-win. I mean, you're unburdening yourself of that, and then you bring in a quality guy like Holiday who really fits what you need: point guard, shooter, D, perfect complement with Maxey in the backcourt.
Go back to when the Sixers made the trade with Brooklyn to get Harden in here. It was a love fest, man. People rolled out the red carpet for Harden.
Oh yeah,
welcomed him with open arms. And look at how quickly they fell out of love with him in less than a year's time. Less than a year's time is when you started to hear people grumbling about Harden, selfish, playing for himself, seems to be out of shape, can't stay healthy, consummate hamstring guy, always had the hamstring injury. And if you move him now, especially after what he's done this summer, calling Morey a liar, saying he'll never play for this organization again. You're right. Win-win is the best way to put it.
Yeah. So we'll see. And again, Shams thinks this is happening fast. So it could be because these teams, like the last thing the Sixers want, Derek, is to have to answer a million James Harden questions on media day. Nick Nurse is sitting there answering those kind of questions. Nobody wants any of that, nonsense. So anyway, we'll see what happens. If anything, we hear anything during the show, we'll keep you posted, obviously. All right, let's get a timeout. Derek, we're going to dig into the best games of the week coming back. We'll start with last night, and then here's the games we're going to highlight. Dolphins, Bills, Ravens, Browns, Bucks, Saints are among the games we're going to dip our foot into those pools when we come back. So looking forward to that when we return. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Pro Action Restoration. Yeah, Pro Action Restoration. Some of the crazy weather that's happening in our country here right now. Pro Action Restoration is a number and a name that you want to have at your disposal. Trust me. If you have a home, you have a business, you have a property you own, whether it's water, fire, smoke damage, mold, you name it, they're on the case. And they're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist. Happened to me a few years back at my parents' house. Their basement got flooded. I called them on a Saturday. Pro Action got right out there. They fixed the problem. They diagnosed what it was. They fixed it. They cleaned it up. The price was right. The crew was great. It was a really, really amazing experience. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. Pro Action Restoration will work in conjunction with your insurance company. So if it's water, fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, could be something beyond that. Just reach out, get a consultation. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's Proaction